Joy of Sticks.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Joy of Sticks. Today we're bringing you another instalment in the top 50 Atari ST games of all time as voted for by you, and we're over halfway now, which surely means the games are getting better and better. Can't wait to show you the next 5. As ever, please do weigh into the comment section below and tell me what you think of these 5. Did you play them? Do you think they deserve their spot? Are there any games that haven't appeared yet that you think should be in the top 50? Let me know. Anyway, enjoy.
Number 25.
ST owners had to wait a long time for this classic 4X game. Now, the term 4X was coined in a magazine article written for the game Master of Orion, but the genre had existed without a name for at least a decade before that, and it could be argued that Millennium 2.2 and Deuteros from this very list both belonged in that stable. But few would argue that it's the Civilization series that would become almost synonymous with the genre. And now, for those that don't know, the 4X's are Explore, Expand, Exploit and Exterminate, and you'd do plenty of each in a game of Civilization. You start by picking your tribe, naming your leader and deciding how difficult of a challenge you will face. Then you're presented with an uncharted map which your settlers must navigate around to find a suitable position for your first city. Cities will then begin to grow depending on the nearby resources, and it's up to you to choose what your scientists should research and how your construction workers should focus on building in order to nurture and help these cities reach their potential. Early on in the game, you'll be focused upon expanding your fledgling civilization and exploiting the surrounding resources to their fullest. But then, things will get very interesting when you encounter other civilizations. Will your relationship be a peaceful one, where knowledge and goods are traded for the betterment of both communities? Or will you crush them beneath the mighty weight of your military dominance? One of the very best things about Civilization is that there are so many different ways to win, and you can decide which one to aim for. Will you aim to exterminate all of your rivals, or will you win by achieving cultural ascendancy and launching a space program? The ST version is a little bit sluggish, as the game relies on the operating system of the ST for display and mouse control, and the ST version is less colourful than other versions available, but it's still perfectly playable, and we were lucky to get a version of this PC strategy powerhouse at all.
Number 24.
One of the earliest games I ever experienced on the ST, thanks to it being part of the legendary Power Pack. Black Lamp was released by Firebird in 1988, and the game puts you in the jingly bell boots of a jester called Jack, a lowly jokester who's fallen in love with the Princess Griselda. Now, of course, the king is never going to allow his daughter to marry a jester, right? Well, he might just allow her to marry a dragon slayer. So Jack sets out to kill one of the scaly gits that have stolen the kingdom's sacred black lamp, the absence of which has allowed all sorts of googlies to run rampant in the kingdom. The game is a fairly standard platformer with some light shooting elements, but most of the game's challenge comes from circumnavigating the game world in order to find 9 different coloured lamps. Imagine a trip to IKEA but in medieval times, and you're halfway there. There are various items that can be picked up to help you on your way. Food regains strength, weapons increase your firepower, and jewels and musical instruments can prevent you from getting hurt. Black Lamp is a very early game for the ST, and it does show its age a little, but this can be forgiven thanks to the buckets of charm that exude from the game. It's kind of like playing a brightly coloured, kinetic and kooky Saturday morning cartoon.
Number 23.
Time Bandit was originally released on the TRS-80 computer in 1983, and it took a whole 2 years to grace our beige beauty in 1985, making it the earliest game on this list. In essence, it's a clone of an old Konami arcade game called Tutankhamun. You play as the Bandit, A rogue traveller journeying through time and space, battling evil guardians, collecting treasure, and having a ruddy good time doing it. As in Tutankhamun, to progress, the player must collect keys, open doors, and find the exit. Fairly standard stuff, but a lot of Time Bandit's charm comes from its brilliant level design. Each stage has a unique and charming scenery and enemies, and some levels pay homage to classic games like Pac-Man and Centipede. There are even text adventure levels and card games to play. A nice additional mechanic is how the game rewards bold gameplay. The faster you move through the level and eliminate enemies, the higher the game rates your degree of bravery. The higher your bravery, the more qubits you get for each defeated enemy. Cautious players may live longer, but the highest scores will only be achieved by the foolhardy.
Number 22.
It's astonishing to think that one of the best strategy games on the ST wasn't designed, but merely happened by chance. Peter Molyneux was inspired by a virus to create his own isometric landscape and decided to populate it with tiny people. And when those people were unable to move around the small islands, he created a way for the mouse button to raise and lower land, shaping it to enable the people to move around and settle in houses. It seemed to Molyneux that shaping the land in this way and helping the people was enjoyable in its own right, and it became the central mechanic for the game itself. Once this core gameplay was in place, everything else just iterated from it. Games went on for too long, so they coded in Armageddon. An ingenious addition is the player-controlled disasters that you can unleash upon your opponent. Have they got a nice piece of flat land bristling with well-equipped castles? Then turn it into a volcano with the click of an icon. Is your opponent's land lower than yours? Then just flood the whole world and watch his followers drown. Of course, all this power has to come from somewhere, and the currency that you spend to unleash these feats is the belief of your followers. The more followers you have, the more they pray to you, the more mana you have to spend on ruining your opponent's day. This gives an extra dimension. Small shacks offer high population density and more reproduction, but create followers with sticks and stones to fight with, whereas huge castles create followers with flails and swords, but are filled with people seemingly less interested in procreation. A balance is needed then. The endless playability of Populous is boosted even further by the ability to link two computers. STs, Amigas or PCs could all link via null modem cables together for some local multiplayer action.
Number 21.
Thalion Software were a group of demo sceners gone straight. Formed in Germany in 1988, their aim was to bring the coding prowess they'd honed in the cutthroat world of demos and cracking to bear on the gaming world, and produce games of a high technical grade. A look through their software library tells you they achieved this aim admirably, but maybe never quite achieved the commercial success that should have followed. Arguably their best title, Wings of Death, was a stylish shoot-'em-up based in a fantasy world of dragons, where you, a wizard, have been transformed into a dragon by the evil Xandrilia. Now, if I was her, I'd have chosen a bunny, or maybe a newt. Something slightly less formidable, but no, she chose dragon. Silly really. So you must fly through the witch's 7 enemy-infested domains in order to defeat her and win back your bipedal form. The game's demo scene pedigree is always on display thanks to the incredibly well-drawn sprites and backgrounds that animate and move around smoothly. A brilliant soundtrack by legendary Jochen Hippel absolutely propels you through the game and is so good. My first few playthroughs are usually distracted by those amazing beats.
Auto fire. Circle blast. Shield.